What's going on YouTube? So Toyota has dozens of models to fit every kind of lifestyle. And today we're with the latest edition. This is the new BZ Woodland. Now, as the name implies, this vehicle is made for going a bit off the beaten path and going adventuring. And today we're going to spend some quality time with it to see if this is the performance wagon that you want to buy. Let's get into it. All right, let's get things started here with a quick spec dump. So this vehicle is powered by a 74.7 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery pack with dual motor all-wheel drive. Our total system horsepower is 375 horsepower, and you have up to 281 miles of range.
Now the base price of the BZ Woodland for 2026 is $45,300, and if you're looking to buy one or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price.
But let's go ahead and close up the hood because we need to take a look at the exterior, interior before we get to the test drive and some off-roading. Now, as you can see, we are off the beaten path right now. We're at a absolutely stunning ranch here in California that was formerly owned by Paul Walker. And this is exactly the type of thing, Toyota envisions that you might want to do with the BZ Woodland. Now, of course, we need to start off by talking about the exterior design. Now, this vehicle has a very wagon-like shape. And if you're one of the people that recently commented about our Subaru Outback and how that one has turned into more of an SUV-like appearance, I think you're really going to like this BZ Woodland because it looks a lot more wagon-like than that Outback does. Now up here in the front, we've got a blacked out badge. You also have a pretty simple looking grille, and then the lower fascia is going to also be simple and just kind of opened up. The lighting is really the biggest element to the exterior in the front. So you'll notice that we've got this new hammerhead design. It kind of wraps around with our daytime running light and turn signal indicator. Now the actual headlight itself is a projector LED. It's located right here in this black housing. And you also notice that we have a light bar that runs between the two headlights. Now ground clearance on this model is going to be about 8.4 inches, which is pretty good for a vehicle in this segment. And let's take a look at the wheels. All models will come with the 18-inch alloys you see here. What you can decide on, though, is the fact if you want a regular all-season tire or if you want an all-terrain tire. That's actually available to you for no extra charge if you want that all-terrain. And this does impact your range. We'll talk more about that later on. Now, of course, you can see right in this area, this is where this vehicle really starts to get a lot more rugged looking. We've got a lot of cladding. It kind of comes from the front here and wraps all the way around to protect you from any types of debris and things you might encounter when you're doing some light off-roading, which we have done already. As you can see, it's a little bit dirty, so we apologize for that, but stay tuned. We will be doing some more later in the video. As far as the mirrors are concerned, we've got a nice gloss black finish up here. They come fully equipped with blind spot monitoring, heating, and power folding.
Now, as Drew mentioned at the beginning, you really start to see that wagon-esque like appearance here at the side. As a wagon lover myself, I really like the way this looks. Definitely gives kind of those older Subaru Outback vibes. And as far as some other design elements here on this model, you're going to have your window treatments fully blacked out. And then here at the top, since this is a rugged model, you do have the raised ladder style roof rails as well. Now, as we start to head to the rear here, you'll be able to see more of the results of our light off-roading, though no, I generously almost passed out blowing all of the dirt off of the rear of this vehicle. But you do see that continued substantial and boxy off-roader look. As far as some of your individual elements, you have a spoiler here up top, an exposed rear window wiper, and then here beneath this thin layer of dust, you do see the full-length LED taillights. So, as expected, all of your elements are being fully LED. And then you do also have fully blacked out badging as well, a nice touch that you don't have to add on as an option for this model. Down here at the bottom, the rugged cladding continues. This is all of a matte black plastic. And then as far as towing, the BZ Woodland is rated up to 3,500 pounds. Now, as far as safety is concerned, Toyota makes that nice and easy. All of your Toyota Safety Sense 3.0 active safety features are standard equipment here on the BZ Woodland. But there are some rugged elements to check out on the interior as well, so let's hop into that. But first,
if you're new here, we're brothers and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
And if you want to know about all the latest and greatest rides, then make sure to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the newest cars. All right, now it's time to check out the inside. Go ahead and take a look at the key fob here. Just a standard Toyota key fob, no special branding or anything like that. You have a standard smart entry system. That means to get inside, just grab behind the handle, and that will unlock the door. All right, and let's check out the interior. So as you can see, we have a pretty familiar look overall to some other Toyota products. And let's get into some individual details with the seats first of all. So you have a standard soft tex faux leather seat. You can get a couple different color choices. You can do the full black, or you can get this right here, which is called stone brown. So basically a brown and black combination with the piping detail. I think overall this looks really nice, and it's certainly the way that I would go. Now the seats themselves are 8-way power adjusting with 2-way lumbar support. And if you get the premium package, that will also give you memory seats. Let's go ahead and climb inside. And now let's look around at the rest of the cabin materials. It's over here on the door trim. Big piece of the brown leatherette for your arm to rest against. Soft touch plastic along the top. As we move to the upper dashboard, we have this kind of textured trim. It is soft touch and it's kind of rubberized with a little bit of a texture. Soft touch plastic through here in the matching brown color. And then down on the lower part here, it's not going to be padded, but everything does feel pretty solid. Now we'll fire it up with the push button start. Now jumping into some individual details. We'll start with the gauge cluster. So you've seen this on some other Toyota electric products. The gauge cluster, as well as the Prius as well. The gauge cluster is kind of recessed up there, taking the place of both a traditional gauge cluster and a head-up display. It is 7 inches, and it is a little reconfigurable. Now, as we move back to the steering wheel, got that typical design for Toyota electric products. It is manual tilt and telescoping, and we have standard heating on all the Woodlands, and you also have rain sensing wipers. Just be aware that depending on how you set, it might block out some of the gauge cluster. Now taking a look next at our interior storage, we'll pop that open. Inside you'll find a pretty nicely sized center console here. If we remove this tray, which is a little bit stuck here, you'll actually see there's quite a bit more space down there. It kind of doubles the amount of space, and I'm pretty sure that would fit a lot of donuts, but we're in California today, so we don't have the donuts with us. We'll test it out back home in Kentucky. Now continuing the storage tour, we have our 2 wireless phone charging pads, and you also have a very large center pass-through. If I move that out of the way so you can see it, it is quite generously sized here. You can stick a lot of different things inside of that. Just be aware there's no conventional glove box on board. For the shifter, it's a digital style, just twist over D for drive. The paddle shifters are for controlling the regen. And then when we head into reverse, here's our 360-degree camera system. So this 360 camera is standard equipment on all models, and you also have a trail camera view as well. Then your electronic parking brake with your brake hold is located there. There's your button to launch the camera. And then you have some drive mode controls over here, including X mode. We'll talk more about that later on. And carrying on, we'll take a look next at our volume knob controlling the audio system. So this is the available 9-speaker JBL sound system. Let's hear a sample. Overall sound quality is pretty good, does fill up the cabin nicely, and it has plenty of bass if that is the main thing you're concerned about. Alright, let's zero in on our big display here. So if this looks familiar to you, it's probably because you've seen this display in a Lexus product. It's basically directly from the Lexus lineup here. It's a 14-inch display with the bottom section being dedicated to your climate controls. We have standard dual zone automatic climate controls on board. And you got the big knobs here embedded in the screen to adjust the temperature with some additional functions right there. Another thing you might notice are these controls right here. 3-stage heated seats are standard equipment on all models. However, if you want seat ventilation, that's one of the other reasons, like probably a main reason, why you might choose to get the premium package. Now, as far as the rest of the infotainment system, as you can see right now, I've got Android Auto pulled up. Of course, you have wireless Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay. This is not the very newest version of Toyota software that has just launched in the all-new RAV4. That being said, it's what everybody is mostly familiar with. You have things like built-in navigation during the trial period as well. Taking a look up top, we have an auto-dimming mirror as standard equipment. However, the premium package will give you the digital camera rear-view mirror to cut out any obstructions. And another thing that premium package will give you is this panoramic sunroof. So as that shade slides out of the way, you'll see that we have a very large piece of glass, but the one thing to keep in mind is that this glass does not open up.
All right, so join me here in the rear seats of the BZ Woodland, and you'll begin to see where that longer wagon-esque appearance comes into play here. So as far as your official leg and headroom measurements, you're sitting at about 35 inches of legroom and about 37.5 inches of headroom. That is quite good, and I think you're going to be even more impressed when I pull out the official Car Confections ruler to measure behind Drew's 5'8" driving position. I am 5'9" myself, sitting at 10 inches of additional knee space. That is really, really impressive. I just crawled out of the CHR earlier today, and that's certainly a lot better. Although I will say my feet cannot slide up underneath the floor, although the floor is pretty flat overall. And I do want to mention these floor mats real quick. These are also standard, the all-terrain floor mats with the Woodland branding in it. I think they look really nice. As far as the seats back here, they're really nice, soft, and supple. And you do have a full down center armrest, 2 cup holders, as well as a little phone cubby as well. And even more impressive, everything else you see back here is standard. So you have standard vents, standard USBs, and standard heated rear seats. These are 3 stages as well. Really nice and a premium feature I appreciate in this model. Final things, as we head to the door trim, these seats do recline just a little bit as well. I do want to mention that. And then as far as your door trim itself, it's honestly pretty nice. Still soft touch at the top, leatherette wrapping through the middle, and then down in the bottom, you do have a lot of bottle storage. Up to 2 bottles could fit down there as well. All right, let's check out the cargo space in the BZ Woodland. All models will have a hands-free power tailgate, so it makes opening it up nice and easy. And check out the space in this wagon-esque appearance. Behind the second row of seats, you're going to be sitting at 33.8 cubic feet of space. And then when you fold the second row of seats down, which you can easily do with the cargo handles, you can access up to 74.3 cubic feet of space. Just know, Toyota actually does rate it 3 cubic feet less at 71 cubic feet if you do choose the JBL. Just kind of a funny little thing there. But as far as those cargo figures go, that's going to be a little bit better than the all-new RAV4 and pretty on par with other wagon-esque like vehicles in its class. And if you're curious to compare this with any other crossover you might be looking at, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. On there, we've gone through numerous popular crossover segments and ranked them on categories that matter most to you, the compact crossover buyer. And you can go through and sort it through things such as cargo space, powertrain availability, drive experience, as well as value for your buck. So if you'd like to check that out, go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. Now back here to this BZ Woodland. As you can see, the seats fold 60-40 split, which is very nice. And let me go ahead and get our cargo measurements. This is a Car Confections review after all. Behind Drew's 5'8" driving position, very, very nice. 79 inches of space behind the first row. Behind the second row, 40 inches. Also nice and spacious. As far as width goes, you'll be sitting at 39 inches wide. And as a maximum for your height, about 31 inches. That's a little bit shorter since this does have the sloping wagon roofline. Now as far as your load-in height as well, pretty good, about 29 inches. And then as far as other features back here, you are going to have a 120 volt outlet back here, which is very nice for powering things up on the go. And then underneath the floor here, you're going to have quite a bit of extra space, which I really like. Just know that you will not have a spare tire here on this model. Alright guys, here we are behind the wheel of the all-new BZ Woodland, and in this test drive we're going to be covering quite a few things, as you can see on the screen right now, including getting things like our sound level reading, as well as showing you guys some of the off-road potential this model has. But first, this has a lot of power as well, so let's start out with a hard acceleration.
Woo! That was 60. Pretty fast, that's for sure.
Yeah, you can definitely feel the horsepower and a lot of torque.
Yeah, definitely. So, let's kind of recap a little bit about what we're talking about here. 375 horsepower. That's courtesy of a 74.7 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery pack and dual motor all-wheel drive. And you have, quite powerful electric motors in both the front and the rear. That's why you get such a nice power figure, and it propels this vehicle to 60 miles per hour in 4.4 seconds. So, we are talking about a pretty serious launch there. Even with, all-terrain tires, it definitely puts the power down nicely.
Oh yeah, it really felt like it gripped down pretty well, and that is, at this point, the fastest BZ product that Toyota is offering in the lineup. This has a little bit more grunt as compared to the 338 horsepower you'd find in the regular BZ or the Toyota CHR.
Yeah, even when you're already at speed, it certainly has enough grunt to push you back in your seat, that's for sure. Now, we're on, a little bit of a back road here, so I can talk a little bit about dynamically what we're speaking about with this BZ Woodland. Of course, you've got the weight down low when you're talking about an electric vehicle. The battery pack is down low in the chassis. I think it helps this vehicle to feel nice and balanced. It has a surprising amount of agility. I'm a little bit impressed by that. I didn't expect that coming into this. I thought it would be perhaps a little bit more loosey-goosey, the suspension, kind of emphasizing the off-roading ability. But the on-road actually is really good too. It definitely, buttons down and goes around a corner nicely. The steering, good response right off center. I'm liking what I'm feeling.
Yeah, and I know we were talking about this potentially being a Subaru Outback competitor or alternative, and this powertrain experience is really where the differences are going to come alive. It's a lot faster when it comes to 0 to 60. It's going to be a lot more agile, and it's also going to continue to provide you that off-road capability as well. So this could potentially be the best of both worlds if that's what you're looking for.
Right. I mean, we often hear from you guys in the comments. We just drove different versions of the Outback, including the Wilderness recently, and a lot of people were saying, oh, I hate the sound of the engine and the CVT and all this and that. Well, with this electric powertrain, you don't have that at all. It's going to be, complete silence and really have a lot more punch than either of the powertrains on the Outback.
Drew surprised me with that one. But now we are quickly up to 55 miles an hour, so let's grab our sound level reading at fan speed 1, and the vented seats are off. Settled in at 57 decibels, which is pretty dang good for California roads. So yes, this is not an official Car Confections sound level reading because we are on the press launch for this model in California, but I can still go to carconfections.com/sound level readings to see how that compares against all of its competitors. And while that may not be the quietest EV rating that you can get as far as sound level readings, it is still pretty impressive for this model on the rougher surfaces that you do find on California roads, and we're hoping to eventually have one back in Kentucky to test to share with you all as well.
Now, speaking of rougher roads, that would be a great segue into the ride quality. So I think this is another pretty impressive aspect of this vehicle. We certainly found the ride quality to be quite nice during our drive today. You have 18-inch wheels, you have all-terrain tires, which, by the way, those don't make really any noise that I can hear of or any vibrations into the cabin. It just has a really nice feel behind the wheel. You hit those bumps and stuff, it feels very distant. This is a plush vehicle, that's for sure.
Yeah, and speaking of plush, these seats are also super, super comfortable. They're nice and soft as well. Really impressive when it comes to ride quality. Certainly one of the better Toyota crossover options. Maybe if you think a 4Runner is a little too rough, but you still want that off-road capability, this BZ Woodland might be a better alternative for you.
Yeah, like we said at the beginning, Toyota has like so many crossovers right now. It's hard to keep up with. So if you can be part of a really tiny niche, and they still have something for you.
And speaking of that off-road capability, let's go ahead and talk about some of the off-roading we were able to do with this model. Now, we weren't able to capture that with both of us in the seat because we had to have a co-driver with us guiding us through everything, but as you can see on the screen right now, we'll replay some of the exterior footage that we got from this model and some from the GoPro behind us, showing some of what we put this through on the off-road course.
Right, Toyota had some, light obstacles set up that we could go through, so we did, get some wheels off the ground just to show how that power distribution works. With this vehicle being co-developed actually with Subaru, you do get one holdover feature from Subaru. You may have heard of it. It's called X Mode, and that does give you some adjustability when it comes to different levels of traction. And of course, being an EV as well, it's very easy to be able to route power to the individual wheels as needed. So it was able to tackle those obstacles where even two of the wheels are off the pavement there quite easily. Now, after that, we ascended a very steep slope. It was about a 30-degree slope on loose sand. Again, we activated X mode and went into the sand mode specifically, and that was able to give us good traction as we went up. The all-terrains had nice traction as well. Two of the things, though, that weren't so great was just the fact that this gauge cluster with its odd positioning, it kind of felt like it was in both of our line of sight. You kind of wanted to see over it, and I found myself lifting out of the seat to look over it when you're going over a steep thing. So that wasn't ideal. And then also adding to that problem was the fact that the trail camera doesn't stay up after you go past, I think it's about 5 miles per hour. So even when you're going quite slow off-road, it just turns itself off at some inopportune times that I would have liked to have it.
Yeah, and keep in mind when you're comparing it to things like that Subaru Outback, this will be lacking in maximum when it comes to your overall ground clearance. So this is definitely meant for more light-duty off-roading. Things like the 4Runner will definitely be more capable as well. But honestly, I was pretty impressed with this performance over the terrain we did take it on today.
Right. I think Toyota was just demonstrating that it's more than capable of what the vast majority of people will be doing. But like Josh was saying, if you're maybe the Outback Wilderness customer, this isn't going to be that level of capability, but perhaps it could fill in for a traditional Outback owner.
And let's talk about range real quick. You're going to have two different configurations. With the all-season tires, you're going to be rated at a maximum of 281 miles. But when it comes to your all-terrain tires, which is a free option for this model, it's going to be at 260 miles. So yes, that is quite a bit of a sacrifice, about 21 miles less range. So just keep that in mind when you're shopping between the different options. Fortunately, it won't cost you anything either way when it comes to monetary value. And then you can see your charging specs on the screen right now. Namely, I want to point out that this does have NACS charging as standard equipment, a 11 kilowatt onboard charger, and a maximum fast charging speed of 150 kilowatts. And finally, let's talk about our signature Car Confections Slam Dunk and Airball. I'll kick us off with the Slam Dunk, and that's just going to be the overall packaging of this model. We're really impressed with the standard feature set on this model, and even if you do want to add those few extra luxury touches, the premium package doesn't really cost that much more either. So having a fully loaded package just under $50,000, we quite like it at that price point.
Now, on the Airball side of things, we're gonna say the gauge cluster. We've talked about this in other Toyota BZ and the Prius product line as well. It's just a weird position. The steering wheel kind of blocks a lot, and now we know that there's also another problem. I've never off-roaded with this display, and I can say now that it annoys me in that regard as well, because it's blocking your line of sight when you're trying to off-road. I really would like Toyota just in general to move away from this type of display.
Let's talk pricing. So as Drew mentioned earlier, the BZ Woodland comes really standard with everything. The only option that you can add on is the premium package, which we have sampled here today. So your base MSRP is going to be $45,300. And that premium package is really not as much as you would think. As you can see here on this sticker, With the premium package, MSRP starts at $47,400. There you see that free all-terrain tire option, premium paint on this model. So all told, you're going to be looking just a hair under $50,000 at $49,325. Now, if you're curious as to when this goes on sale, it will go on sale about March, and this is also made in Japan. Now, if you'd like to buy a BZ Woodland or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. On there, you can get access to tools such as invoice pricing information, which is a great tool while dealership negotiating. You can also access things such as a monthly payment tool. If you'd like to check that out, we do have a link in the video description as well as a pinned comment at the top of this video. But buying a car is much more than just the original MSRP, so let's dive into resale, reliability, and the warranty. Let's start with resale value. After 5 years and 60,000 miles, this Toyota will be worth about 64.5% of its original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, about 41.4% of original MSRP. Now, that is one of the best resale value averages in the entire auto industry. Just keep in mind that since this is an EV product, that might positively or negatively impact its value based on current market conditions.
Now, also impressive is Toyota's overall reliability rating. When we factor in the latest data, Toyota is rated as the #1 overall brand compared to other automakers.
Now, if you'd like to check out all of our resale and reliability data, as well as our methodology, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Now, another important part of your vehicle purchase is your warranty. You're going to be protected by a 3-year 36,000 mile basic warranty, a 5-year 60,000 mile powertrain warranty, a 8-year 100,000 mile battery componentry warranty, and then Toyota also provides 2 years and 25,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. Well, guys, we hope you enjoyed this scenic hilltop review of the all-new 2026 Toyota BZ Woodland. If you enjoyed getting to see this car in this beautiful atmosphere, as well as checking out everything that this model has to offer, we would appreciate it if you subscribe down below. When you do that, it helps us gain access to cars like this as early as possible so we can come out to beautiful California and sample models to get to you all as soon as possible. Now, if you're already a fan and subscriber to the channel, we appreciate your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.